I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hey guys, welcome. This is season 1, episode 5 of Win the Wilderness. I am your host, Kay Montgomery. I have a stellar panel today. We're going to be talking about your boy Duane and how he was, Bear King out in the wilderness, videotaping himself doing some wild stuff. We also in this episode are going to whittle our 4 couples down to 2. So before we get into it, let me introduce our wonderful panel. First up, we have Ashman with the insights.
Hey guys, we're almost there.
Almost, only a couple left. And we have Michael Feeling, who is our expert on all things competition in the reality show space.
Yeah, man. I mean, we found the original influencer. It's Duane. He was before his time filming his own little reality show or vlogs up there. I loved it. Awesome.
Yes, so we get into episode 5 and they say, basically we're going to have 2 challenges. We're going to eliminate 2 couples in this one episode, which is pretty exciting. The first challenge is they're going to come around and they said, we're going to go around and we're going to decide who has the best and worst plans for the future. Yeah. And we're going to go and interview and interrogate the couples. We saw no interviewing or interrogation.
That's what they said. Instead, Duane and Rena just eliminated Matt and Rachel. So that's what you want to do. You're done.
I had my little pen. I was like, okay, let's see whose reasons are what. And they were basically just like, they just rolled up and were like, you guys are out. I was like, what happened to the interview? What?
Yeah, and that happened in the beginning of the episode too. Like it would be one thing if they walked up and gathered everybody, but they just kind of crept up on a couple, no questions for anybody else and made their choice.
Yeah. Figure out how any of that makes any sense. Matt and Rachel were the first couple singled out to be doing a good job. They did nothing wrong the entire time. And
because they had no other challenges. Yeah.
Right. They weren't allowed to do anything else. They weren't allowed to participate and they just get eliminated.
Without any questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was wild. What was the reasoning behind that? Because they're young and they have so much more life to live? Was that the...
It's Duane and Rena's generic reason. It's just not your time.
Yeah, it's not your time. Which I was like, what? And you guys know last episode, I predicted that they would win it. They were my favorite.
And I told you that their age was going to be an issue for them.
You did.
Because they see them as being young. They're like, you have way too much life to live. But what I did like is when they said that if this is a dream of yours, then follow up with it later. Again, their reason for so many things is this is not your time. But that is kind of true. If you're that young, you have so much more to do and explore instead of making just this commitment that if you really want to do it, come and revisit it later. Who knows? OC Mountain might be up for a sale again.
But Tina and Chris have the same issue. Tina and Chris have the same issue in addition to they're more gypsy. They're the ones who we want to explore more. They ain't even married. Bruh. I was like, how are we using this? It's a fair critique, but you could use that for other people. But I guess if they give it to somebody who's older, then in 10 years, it'll be up for grabs again. So season 2.
Well, just don't do anything then. Don't let them through that far because in our eyes and definitely their eyes, they haven't done anything wrong. They haven't done anything negative. It wasn't like, okay, now we have the last 4 couples. You guys are going to do some challenge and we'll reevaluate you. No, it's just surprise. We've been leading you on this entire time and now you're eliminated. Well, just eliminate them right off the bat. Yeah, you're just going to say they're too young and they're not ready for it. They haven't displayed anything else that would show that they're not ready. It makes no sense.
None. Yeah, so that was crazy.
I wonder if they had any prerequisites before they were even selected.
That's true. I would have loved to see some prereqs before. I totally agree. So that was challenge one. I mean, I guess challenge one, I don't know. Okay. So then challenge two is separation. So they have to be separated from everyone for 2 days. And when I say everyone, I mean just their partner. I don't mean isolation, because there's a camera crew there that is constantly asking them questions.
Yeah.
That they're constantly doing live interview to.
Yeah.
Good point.
Thoughts, Mike?
Every time a reality show does this, they try to make it out to be so much more epic than it actually is. You know, I did long distance while I was dating my wife, LA to New York. It's not that rough. They had to spend 48 hours not seeing their, husbands or wives or whatever. It's not that big a deal. Also, I would like to point out that you actually, in this day and age, and we know this specifically for this cabin and OC Mountain and everything, because we've seen Duane and Rena interact with CJ. You do not have to be as intense as Duane and Rena are. They have internet. They've got cell service. You want to call or talk to somebody, they're readily there. They have the internet. You can watch YouTube or Netflix or whatever you want. It's no big deal. This is not like, okay, you're truly going to be in blackout isolation where you never see or hear anybody ever again for 6 months. It's just not like that. So I think for me, that took a little bit of the realism away when they try to portray it, because it's not. So again, you could be giving these people actual challenges that actually mimic what life would be like. You don't have to be this hermit that Duane chose to be. Well, maybe, that's not fair. In his time when he was doing it, much harder. But right now, you definitely don't have to be like that.
Yeah, in 1987, it wasn't, the
That's
internet
fair.
wasn't what it is. It wasn't accessible yet. But
fair.
For present day, you got to keep it
For present day, they're not even living like this. They're FaceTiming with their boy CJ and checking in and seeing what's up. So our couples here that are going to potentially win, they don't have to be that isolated. And not seeing your partner for 48 hours is far from the end of the world. It's probably a nice respite.
Especially because you've been around each other for 24 hours for I don't know how many days. And
my wife's at work right
couples.
now. I'm not crying in a corner because I don't get to talk to her. It's okay.
But this is what was interesting. Tina was crying in a corner.
Yeah.
The first night.
Yeah.
Thoughts, Ashman?
Well, yeah, like the purpose of the whole separation thing was to test them out emotionally and mentally, right? And I think given the fact that this is, how will you do out in the wilderness when anything can happen, it seemed reasonable, not very challenging, but reasonable. So it's like, I thought it was kind of messed up. Actually, when they got separated, why did one group get to go to like a fancy guest lodge?
Yeah.
Like, what was up with that, right?
Exactly.
Like, they could have been practicing on a challenge or doing something or experiencing that at a camp, at their campsite. Why are they sent to like a luxurious resort, fireplace? They got their feet up. Like, I don't even understand that. How's that going to prep you for OC Mountain?
It made no sense.
I thought it was just bizarre, right? Like, why? So yeah, and then Tina, like she had her little breakdown and it was her birthday, and I can get that. But I mean, right. But this is a part of their reasoning, right? Like they're supposed to see how they do and how they cope. And I actually think she ended up doing the best coping than the other people, than Pete and Mark. Like she was the only one that finished her entire task and she was like, good. Pete and Mark, they were so dependent on their wives. Like both of them were like, I'm not going to use another dish because I don't want to wash it, or I can't wait to get back to Emily. And, like seriously, they seem like they would have more of the problem if they were left alone.
I'm really glad you brought the first part of that up because, again, made no sense to me. Are these the only 3 uninhabited cabins in Alaska area that we don't have other ones that the other 3 can't try isolation and experience that too? That makes no sense. Once again, the tasks are wildly unbalanced. Tina had to nail some boards into the floor. Okay. And you've got your boy Pete try to jam a new well into the ground. He's a cop. He doesn't know what he's doing. She just hammered some stuff into the ground. And then Mark drove around and piled some wood up. this is not fair what they're trying to do, especially when you fast forward and consider that Pete gets eliminated because he didn't complete the task of jackhammering by hand a new well in.
No,
I
I don't
mean,
think that's why he got eliminated.
Why do you
that's
think he
fair.
got eliminated?
That might not be why, but the point that he comes away from his isolation thinking I failed my task when the other two were vastly easier than anything he had to attempt to do is unfair and unnecessary. It's unnecessary to do that. It's unnecessary to have the other people at a luxurious cabin. Again, just over and over again with this series, they could have made this a real legit competition pretty easily. And it's odd that the show is almost going out of their way to not.
It's far from a competition. We haven't seen any competition. There's been, there's been no times being kept. Like there's been no actual elimination. I find nothing about this as a competition, only that there's a prize in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Pete shot himself in the foot. I could see exactly when he did it because Rena was like, what do you mean? When they were talking, they were asking them after they had done their task, and he was like, I couldn't complete it because this part, was warped or whatever. So I didn't want to keep, doing it and ruin it.
Right.
And she was like, well, how was it? They asked everyone, how was it being without your spouse? And did you miss them? And do you think you could do it without them? And he was just like, yeah. He was like, yeah, I could do it without her. There's no way that she could do this. And Rena was like, oh, you mean there's no way that she could, like, she's not very helpful to you in tasks? And he was like, no. I mean, I don't mean that. I mean, she is helpful in tasks, but what I'm saying is like, she wouldn't particularly be well suited to this task. What it looked like was him throwing her under the bus and he was quick to be like, I mean, I could do it without her. I could do all this without her, but I wouldn't want to do it without her. You know what I mean? Like, it was too late. He had already spoken and he made it look like he was working with a weak link.
Yeah.
And I think when you're dealing with Rena, she ain't trying to have it. You know what I'm saying? She wants a woman that's going to be tough and be able to hold their own. So when he threw her under the bus like that, was like, why would you say that about your own wife? You're making her look totally incapable, and you both need to be capable for this job. So I wasn't surprised later on when he got the boot. I was like,
yeah, I know the part you're talking about. I didn't think that was fair. Like, was Rena jackhammering wells and stuff too? I feel like if we're being fair, there's probably jobs she didn't do that Duane did, and then vice versa, right? She stripped all the logs,
sure at this
but
point
did she?
She's canning rhubarb, but she's the judge.
She stripped the logs, but did she cut all the trees down? Probably not, right? So it's unfair to say, well, because working as a team, you can get more done. And this is a task I would do versus something my wife would do, to eliminate based off that. Not that they have great reasons for any of the eliminations, but this is completely unfair too.
But right when he said that, I was like, oh, Rena do not like that. It is going down. It is going down. But then she has a soft spot for Tina, because Tina's like, well, I'm not really sure I could be without Chris. I cried. It was really hard. I don't know if I really want it. I was like, she should go. She's not sure. Like, what is happening? But for whatever reason, they love Chris and Tina. So she's like, well, Tina just needs a little confidence. I'm like, what? Ashton, what were your thoughts about that, like, second round when they met with everybody?
I mean, I don't think it was a fair assessment, right? I mean, what type of assessment? They find out what their reasoning was overnight, but I think what they should have done is asked each couple in their own unique situations and got their reaction, opposed to having one side just kicking back at a lodge. So, I mean, I don't their assessment really didn't make too much sense to me. Like, for Pete, I get what you're saying. He kind of made it more about me than the teamwork part, which is something they emphasized from the beginning. They're like, you have to have teamwork. You have to have teamwork. And Rena was really about a woman needs to equally be able to hold her own as a man does. And to Michael's point, I totally agree. I don't think they did the same task. And Rena had said that before. She's like, Duane would cut down the trees and she peeled all the trees for the logs in their home. So clearly, like, they did do different tasks. So I didn't think it was balanced. And I thought it was interesting because they most connected with Pete and Jane. Like, that was their connection, but I don't really understand the purpose of elimination.
We don't see any of the thought process or anything. There was they just rolled up to the camp and went right up to him and was like, "It's you."
Yeah.
Bye.
See,
What
CJ didn't
is
like
happening?
it. I think CJ was like, listen, they got to go.
CJ's not
Behind
even
the
there
scenes.
anymore. What happened to CJ? He disappeared for episode 5.
CJ was like, "These people are too crazy. I don't know what they're thinking. I'm out of here.
Yeah, he's behind the scenes. He's behind the scenes.
I'm gonna go hang out with the Bears. They make more sense."
He's pitching his next story.
Yeah, that was very like, they're now like the angel of death when they come and approach it. When they come together, shuffling along, like,
or the angel of life coming and saying, "You're eliminated," aka you don't have to live in the frozen tundra of Alaska and try to take care of this cabin. You're free.
You're free. I felt like last time, the one couple that was, I can't think of her name right now, but she was like relieved that they were going. I felt really badly because I felt like, although maybe she didn't want to stay, she was doing it for her husband. You know, it was
Jerome
more
and
his
Laura.
dream. You could see.
Oh, you mean Laura?
Yeah, and so you could see, like, in this episode, they're packing up to go, and he's like, you know, we're disappointed or whatever, and she's like, well, I'm happy when he's happy. So maybe she didn't want it as much, but the fact that they weren't going to get it and she knew it was her husband's dream made her even more sad about it. I was really touched by that. I was like, oh, I thought that was sweet.
They're going to be great. They're never going to come to Alaska again.
They've had enough.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about the show. I'm interested to see who wins, but
well, that's a good segue. I mean, we're down to the final 2. What are you guys' thoughts?
It annoys me again that it's not more structured. I have nothing to go on. At this point, it's, I don't know, flip a coin on who's going to win, because there's very little to go on based on the last 2 eliminations. I didn't see a reason for them to be eliminated necessarily more than somebody else, especially Matt and Rachel, right off the bat for no reason.
Yeah,
so,
that's weird.
I mean, I'm going to stick with who I thought from the beginning, Mark and Emily, because they're older, they're farmers, and I think they're just, in general, more suited to slip right into this role as the new owners of OC Mountain, baby.
When they kicked the other couple off, Rena and Duane, she went in to hug the wife and she said, you know, it's a gut feeling. And I was like, that's it. Like, they do a little bit of weighing things, because she said it's about their potential and your potential, and they have a little more potential than you. And then it's also about a gut feeling. I was like, okay, a large part of this then is about a gut feeling.
But
and
what's
so that's why
there were no specifics.
But what gut feeling? Their gut feeling on episode 1 was that Matt and Rachel were stick around, let's see. And they didn't participate in anything else for them to get any more feelings past that. So it just seems weird. This show, you can trim a lot of the fat away. And right off the bat in this episode, we could have had a competition between the 4 remaining couples. Do something, build fire quickest. I don't know, go fishing, do something to see how capable they are, or have all 8 of them from the beginning do the isolation thing and see how they fare.
Mm-hmm. See how many people drop off.
What's the point of just eliminating these 2 out of nowhere for having done nothing?
And giving no specifics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything,
so I'm interested to see moving into episode 6, which is our finale, and we only have 2 couples left. What is that process going to be like? I guess I should say, what would we like to see? I still want to see, I think there should be a first aid component, especially because we have Mark and Emily, and Emily has MS. Like,
he's so bad.
There needs to be
a coin.
But what do you want to see? You want to see a fight to the death, Mike. I want to see some kind of competition that has a first aid component. What do you want to see, Mike?
I want to see him fight a bear. I mean,
Revenant style?
Maybe not. No, maybe. I mean, I'm honestly half joking. We've been teased with the bears since episode 1. Are we going to actually see him have to deal with it, or anything nearby that, or anything that's actually testing survival skills whatsoever? Because hanging out in somebody's cabin that's already been built and replacing a couple boards in the deck is not where it's at. If we're really saying this is the harshest land, it's going to eat you up if you're not prepared, then let's see it. Let's send them out and see if they can do it. Something that's truly going to test them, the couples, together, but separate from each other, right? Each couple just by themselves. Let's see them actually get tested with something.
What about you, Ashman? What would be your dream competition for this final round?
I would take any form of competition right now. Like, I don't care what it is. They all sound good. Something with some type of adrenaline to really show their skills. I mean, I'm not saying I want to see somebody get hurt, but nobody's even gotten hurt yet. And I think that's what the first aid component, like, that's the first aid component. Like, nothing serious has happened that would demonstrate to me survival skills. I've seen maintenance. Okay, so we've seen maintenance. We've seen, emotional and mentally, but like and a little bit of physical. Okay, who could cut down a tree, but like actual survival. So I would take any type of competition seriously at this point. And I mean, and I'm going to say that I'm still rooting for Chris and Tina. Mark and Emily, like, yes, they're actually one of my fantasy picks, but I think with the health problems, it's too unknown in their situation. One, we've already seen Mark is totally dependent on Emily. They have the age difference. I think he's 53, she's 37. And even when they were separated, Mark, when he started cutting down some wood for the fire, he was the first one to get tired and say that there's enough work here for a lifetime. If that small task
he only did 4
that
hours,
was a lot, right? And Emily with her MS, she can get sick at any time, and MS is a critical situation. So they can't just get to a hospital if it's like winter time there. So anyways, I think Chris and Tina are the best for this house.
I really dislike the whole MS thing. I don't think it's anybody's business. I don't think they should have been forced to bring that up or anything like that. If these people want to go and live in Alaska, they're well-on adults. They know the risks and stuff and what's going on in their lives. I don't know. I don't think it's anybody's business. I think it's unfair to use that as a reason to eliminate them or not have them win.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but the fact is, it has been disclosed now, so it has to be taken in consideration.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a huge issue. I think it's a huge issue that you cannot ignore, especially because she was like, I don't know how I'm going to get my medicine. I'm like, what? Like, how do you, like, I mean, I just don't know, like, then how you're going to move forward and function, especially as you age. Ooh, did you say he's 57? How old is he? He's 13 years older than her, right? No.
I think he's 53 and Emily's 37.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I know that he's a farmer and he has experience and he looks like a strong guy, but he really does also look tired all the time to me. I don't know if it's just like the situation. Like every time he's in camera, I was like, is he sad or is he just exhausted? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I don't know. For me, it's a toss up because my favorite couple is gone. And between these two, I feel like Tina has those misgivings. So I just don't know. I think a highlight of this episode was seeing your boy Duane and his like special footage when he lived on the property by himself for 4 years of these bears and him like touching them and having really up close encounters with them. I thought that was insane. I was like, is that how he lost that eye? Like what happened? Like what is going on? Yeah. What did you guys think about the whole bear footage situation? They're all over the place.
Yeah, they know where food is and they're going to come in and get it. They are smart. Animals are way smarter than we give them credit for. You can't mess around with the bears. I'm surprised. I mean, I am a pretty much as city slicker as you can get. And I know I wouldn't be touching bears and canoodling with them on my little vlogs. So I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe the isolation was a little retrospective of Duane losing it himself back in the day, and see how they could hold up, because it's definitely different times. I couldn't believe he was doing it.
Yeah, that was wild. Well, as we close out episode 5, any other comments, things that you guys wanted to add that you didn't get to put in for this episode?
I have a question. Whose pick is Chris and Tina? Because we got to see
Me.
who's gonna win. Is that yours, Mike?
Yep, it's you versus
right
me.
on.
It's you
Okay.
versus me, but we're both rooting for the opposite person. Because you picked Mark and Emily. Chris and
That's
Tina.
so
Chris and
funny.
Tina were my final pick. It was a default because none of us.
You want to
picked them.
switch?
No, no, that's got to be bad luck somehow.
That is so funny. Oh man, both of my guys are out. All right. Well, we will see you guys for episode 5. Thank you so much for listening. If you're listening to
Episode
us
6.
via podcast, remember to give us a 5-star rating. If you're watching us on YouTube, we love when you comment. So make sure to do that and give us a thumbs up. We will see you guys next time. How can these guys find you on social media, Mike?
Guys, it's been so much fun hanging out. I'm sorry I can't be here for the finale, but I got to go do some Married at First Sight and Survivor stuff. So you can follow me everywhere at Mike Feeling, and we'll see who wins.
What about you, Ashman?
Guys, I'm excited to close out this show with you. You can find me on Instagram at Insights by Ish.
Awesome. And I am Kay Montgomery. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at HostK. That's HostKay. We will see you guys in about a couple of hours, an hour, 3 o'clock.
We're gonna miss you, Mike.
I'll miss you
We'll miss
too.
you, Mike. We're gonna lie to you and tell you that that Ashman's people won. It doesn't matter.
I do still have Netflix. I'm just going in isolation. Goodbye.
Bye, guys. See you.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.